The very first thing you do is your first pieces. These are the ones that go on the inside. Bring it down. Now you can overhang these if you like, and then you can cut them off with your miter saw, bandsaw, whatever you want to use. I always like to just go ahead and overhang them a little bit so that I can trim them to fit. But in any case, we're going to just go ahead and flush it up right here. Run the first piece, find the second piece, put it in there to it. Third piece. All right, we've got our first ones laid. As you can see, it's laid out. Now we're ready for our second level. Time for the glue. One thing, use plenty. One thing you want to do is use plenty of glue. And I do mean plenty. You don't want this thing breaking down. Alright, now this is what's called bricklaying. Put your first piece where you want it. And you can see that we've got a long enough area between the next two to where we can use a longer piece to cross over that joint. One thing you want to be very careful of is to make sure that everything follows the one below it. And also you want to make sure that as you're moving this thing around, you don't get you a gap in between your pattern and what you're putting together. And if you like, you can put screws in behind here or something to hold it in place. Thing, this is just show and tell. Okay, now we got our next joint. We're going to cross it, do the same thing. Okay, see, we've got a joint there and a joint over here. Make sure it's up against your pattern. Now once you get everything like you want it, then you can come back with your nail gun and start nailing everything in. Stay at least a few inches back from the end because you'll be cutting these ends off for your jambs to fit in there. So, you know, 2-3 inches, whatever, maybe 2 inches probably be best from the end that you're going to cut off. In other words, if this is overhung that much, you don't want to come here and put a nail right where you're going to end up cutting that thing off. But anyway, then your next piece goes in. Okay, we've got everything set. Now, this is for the jamb that's going to hold our glass. Now you notice this was a 1/2 inch back. So we set this. Well, first we got to have some gay lube. All the way around. We got a piece. And now remember, all this is going to be covered up back here. Just the inside part has got to be perfect. As close to perfect as possible. Alright, we've crossed our first joint. Remember, we're bricklaying. Take the stop that you're going to use, set it in there. Make sure that you're flush with the inside part of your jamb. Move it around till everything fits. Now sometimes it's not going to be perfect. As you can see, this is overhung just a little bit down there. That's okay, because after all this is put together, then you're going to come back and sand it. Okay, now we got our next one. Same thing. Set it in place. Bring it around. Hit our stop. Set it in. Make sure everything is flush on the inside. See, we've crossed our joint. Now we'll have to put a short one here because our next joint's way down here. So we'll put a little short one right here. And now we'll do a long one at the end. Okay. Again. Set it where everything, now this is where you're going to have to start moving things around. Making sure that everything is like it's supposed to be. Of course, you'll be nailing this as you're setting it as you go along. Alright. There's your pattern. Okay, it's together. Now it'd be a good idea if you had a piece of plywood, if you were making a bunch of these, you could set that on a piece of plywood. That way you can just take your plywood up and just move it somewhere.